12 Florida cities are on the brink of collapse, showing the same warning signs we saw before the 2008 housing crash. But here's the shocking part. What's coming in 2025 could be even worse. Today, we will dive into the data and uncover what's really happening in the Florida housing market. Rapidly rising inventory, dramatic price cuts, and an insurance crisis have created a perfect storm. And some neighborhoods are seeing inventory levels triple, and insurance premiums in some places are now higher than mortgage payments. This isn't just a market correction, it is a complete transformation. And the house behind me, which was purchased just a few years ago, was recently put on the market at a new record price, and it sat on the market with crickets, completely unsold, up until the seller decided to give up. They simply could not get their price, period. But let's start with the facts. Home inventory in Florida is up 47% year over year, with some areas seeing a 3x increase. And insurance premiums in coastal areas have skyrocketed, in some places $6,000 to $8,000 annually, forcing many homeowners to sell or leave the state completely. Over 500,000 people left the state in 2023, which is the first significant population decline in decades. Median home prices have dropped 12% from their 2023 peak in some cities, and distressed sales are rising. After analyzing the data, the picture is clear. Florida's real estate market is in unprecedented turmoil. A few years ago, this property, which is sitting on the market unsold, would have had a line of buyers down the street, ready, willing, and able to purchase the home, competing to get this property under contract. But today, there's double the competition and crickets in terms of buyers. And the unfortunate reality is that if a home is overpriced and not marketed the right way, you've got zero shot in hell that that property is going to sell, which definitively does not mean it is time to panic and that the sky is falling, because if you're thinking about selling, there are 3 things that you must know about why right now is the best time to sell. And if you're thinking about buying, there are 3 things you must know about how I can save you a ton of money if you're thinking about buying, especially right now in today's current market landscape. And in this video, I will unpack the myths and mysteries so that you can get exactly what you want in today's market. So if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in Boca Raton, Boynton Beach, or Delray Beach, really anywhere in Southeast Florida, feel free to call anytime or click the link which is located down below to get on my calendar directly. And the reality is my market right now is not facing some of the major concerns that are impacting the next 12 very vulnerable cities that we've analyzed in Florida. And many folks still feel protected because they think they're sitting on a metric shit ton of home equity. Sellers must realize that this equity is not real until it's realized. And when the music stops, if you don't have a chair, well, you're out of the musical chair's home equity game. And while many folks right now are buried in credit card debt at massively high interest rates that compound and compound and compound, they don't realize they're at risk of a negative home equity situation. So if you want to know exactly how much home equity you have right now, please reach out in the link below or give me a call at any point, and I'll be happy to share the truth. But right now, the truth is there are 12 extremely vulnerable cities in Florida ranked based on declining home values, rising inventory, and massive insurance challenges. And speaking of challenges, I wish this painful thing on the side of my face would go away. First up and coming in at number 12 on our list is Lehigh Acres. In Lehigh Acres, 68% of properties are investor owned, with 42% purchased during the 2020-2022 peak. At number 11, we've got Port Charlotte. 34% of listings have price cuts, with declines somewhere between 15 and 20%. And vacancy rates have hit 22%. The hurricane damage added somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 in repair costs per homeowner. No bueno in Port Charlotte. And at number 10, we've got Cape Coral. Cape Coral inventory has surged 89%, and the median price dropped 8.2% In just 6 months, nearly half of homeowners in Cape Coral now pay more for insurance than property taxes. Which takes me to Deltona. 28% of mortgages are underwater, and showing activity is down 67%. Which brings me to number 8, which is Spring Hill. 52% of recent sales were below asking price, and the average price cuts in Spring Hill were close to $47,000. And investors in that market have gone bye-bye. Purchases have dropped 76%, which is driving prices downward further. Coming in at number 7 is Palm Bay. Foreclosures are up 41%. New construction permits have plunged by 82%. Homes are now sitting on the market for 95 plus days, and values are dropping 15%. And yes, it's true. Many of the homeowners in these markets are, in fact, sitting on a metric shit ton of home equity. But the trends are not your friend if you're thinking about selling in any of these markets, and the trend looks a lot like the start of a catch-a-falling knife game, which is not a game any homeowner ever wants to play. But let's keep in mind, the market is always good for someone. So savvy investors, listen up, because there are many opportunities right now that you can capitalize on. And with that in mind, we got Port St. Lucie coming in at number 6. In some areas, HOA fees have skyrocketed to $850 a month. 38% of listings in this market are ex-Airbnb properties, and flood-prone areas have seen values drop by 15%. Point Siena, Florida is coming in at number 5. 44% of homeowners are trying to sell right now with negative equity. Here come the short sales. New listings have jumped 127%, with homes sitting on the market unsold for north of 96 days. No bueno. Number 4 is Northport. 62% of recent sales are distressed properties, with average price cuts of $68,000. Insurance premiums have doubled, making ownership unsustainable for many folks in that market. Coming in at number 3 is Ocala. 47% of listings in Ocala, Florida have had multiple price cuts, often exceeding $85,000. And rental vacancies are up 38%. Investor losses are mounting. Many of these investors did not know what they were saying yes to. They didn't analyze the deals the right way, and now they are starting to suffer the pain of that bad economic number crunching. But have no fear, if you analyze a property the right way and know your numbers as well as your financials, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity to be made on these failed investor properties, which can be redeployed to something profitable for you. Which takes me to Wesley Chapel, coming in at number 2. New listings surged 94%. And builders in that market are getting aggressive. They're offering incentives, in some instances, now north of $75,000. 58% of sales are now below 2023 prices, which it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand there's significant distress in that market. And coming in at number 1, rounding out the group, we've got Winter Haven, Florida. 72% of sales are below asking price, with some properties selling 30% below 2023 valuations. Insurance costs and HOA assessments have created an affordability crisis for many folks in the Winter Haven market, which probably leaves you asking, what is fueling this collapse? And in case you've been living under a rock, Florida is experiencing an insurance crisis. Premiums have risen 167% since 2022, with flood insurance requirements expanding into many new areas that they weren't required in before. HOA fees have skyrocketed in many places. Fees are up 45% on average, adding unexpected and unaffordable costs. And I'm sure you've seen the horror stories of condo owners who are getting hit with $250,000 assessments on a fixed income that could never in a million years pay that special assessment. Trouble is brewing in the market. And there are lots of folks getting in front of it by leaving the state completely. Outbound migration is on the uptick. Florida is experiencing net population loss for the first time in decades, and a lot of it is driven by these rising costs of living. And as I alluded to earlier, there are many investors who dip their toes in the market only to realize they can't handle the temperature. They are selling off. Record high investor ownership has created a dangerous cycle of simultaneous selling pressure. And to quote Warren Buffett, be greedy when others are fearful, because nobody should waste a good crisis. And right now, savvy investors are rolling up their sleeves and taking advantage of the weakness in the market. Look for areas that have diverse employment bases, reasonable insurance costs, and stable HOAs. And buyers should look to new builders, new construction, elevated properties, and markets nearing stabilization. Because right now, most builders are offering incentives that simply can't be matched anywhere else. But keep in mind, timing is the key to everything. Prices are expected to drop in some markets much further throughout 2025. The market will yield opportunities for the patient, disciplined investor. And everyone knows that you don't make money when you sell a house, you make money when you buy it at the right price. Let's face it, Florida's housing market is at a turning point. And for those who recognize the warning signs, this is a rare opportunity to make strategic moves. So if you're thinking about making a move, call me immediately or click the link below in the description to get on my calendar right away, because ain't nobody overpaying on my watch, and ain't nobody not finding the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else if you're thinking about selling your home. And please, whatever you do, don't miss out on our next update. Hit like, subscribe, turn on the notifications to stay ahead of the market. And let me know, what do you think about these trends? Drop a comment down below, let's discuss, and remember, the numbers don't lie.